If you've ever tried to understand a Virgo and walked away more confused than before, you're not alone. There is something enigmatic, almost indecipherable, about the Virgo mind. At first glance, they seem too organized, too critical, too rational. But behind that controlled image lies a complex inner universe, full of invisible patterns, deep feelings, and a silent self-criticism that almost no one notices. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the planet of the mind, analysis, and communication. But unlike the expansive energy of other signs, here Mercury operates like a microscope. Nothing goes unnoticed. Every detail is observed. Every word is measured. Every action is archived. And that's exactly where the mystery begins. Because while the world sees someone cold or demanding, inside there is a mind that never switches off. A person who feels deeply but shows little, who loves profoundly but struggles to trust, who helps everyone but rarely admits they need help. Virgo is not hard to understand because they are distant. They are hard to understand because they are deep. They analyze before speaking, test before trusting, observe before surrendering. And if you don't pay attention to the small signs, you'll think nothing is happening, when in reality, everything is happening. Have you ever noticed how Virgos seem calm on the outside, but are in constant internal reconstruction? How they can spot problems no one else saw, or how they remember details from months ago that you didn't even realize were important. Nothing is random to Virgo. They operate through patterns, through logic, through purpose. But what almost no one notices is that behind the organization there is a fear of failure. Behind the criticism there is a desire to improve. Behind the emotional reserve there is an extremely sensitive heart. And that is exactly what makes Virgo one of the most misunderstood signs of the zodiac. Today you're going to discover the 5 reasons why Virgo is so hard to understand. Some of them will make you look at this sign in a completely different way. And the 5th reason, it changes everything you think you know about them. If you have Virgo in your chart, if you love someone of this sign, or if you've ever wondered why this energy seems so contradictory, stay with me until the end. Because after this video, you'll never see Virgo the same way again. Have you ever met a Virgo and thought, why is this person so hard to decode? Virgo is one of the most misunderstood, misinterpreted, and at the same time, one of the deepest signs of the zodiac. They seem simple, but they're not. They seem cold, but they feel too much. They seem critical, but they're just trying to improve everything around them. And it's precisely this silent complexity that leaves everyone confused. For some, Virgos are too demanding. For others, they are the most reliable people that exist. Some say they are distant. Others swear they've never met someone so loyal. But here is the truth. Virgo is not contradictory. Virgo is deep, ruled by Mercury, the planet of the mind and analysis. Virgo operates on a level of perception that few can keep up with. What looks like coldness is actually processing. What looks like criticism is care poorly translated. In this video, you're going to discover the 5 reasons why Virgo is so difficult to understand. And each reason will reveal a deeper layer of the Virgo mind. But pay attention. The 5th reason completely changes the way you see this sign. If you're a Virgo, or love someone who is, this will make a lot of sense. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. That helps this content reach more people who also want to better understand the signs. Now let's get to what really matters. They analyze everything and almost never explain what they're thinking. If there is one trait that defines Virgo, it's this: the mind never stops. Ruled by Mercury, the planet of logic, communication, and mental processing, Virgo lives in a constant state of observation. But it's not a superficial observation. It's deep, strategic, and silent. While most people are just living the moment, the Virgo is analyzing the moment. They notice subtle changes in tone of voice. They pick up when someone uses a different word than usual. They catch micro-expressions that go unnoticed by almost everyone else. They archive behaviors, cross-reference information, identify patterns. And the most curious part? They almost never verbalize any of it. On the outside, they may seem quiet, distracted, or even uninterested. On the inside, they are building a true mental map of the situation, evaluating intentions, calculating possibilities, anticipating consequences. This creates a major misunderstanding because those around them don't see the process. They only see the silence. And for many people, silence looks like distance. But it's not distance. It's processing. Virgo doesn't react on impulse. They filter, organize, mentally review before speaking. And many times, when they finally decide to express themselves, they've thought about it so much that the conversation has already moved on. In real life, this can create conflict. In relationships, for example, a partner may feel like the Virgo is holding things in. At work, people might think they are silently judging everything. Among friends, they may seem overly critical. The truth is that Virgo rarely analyzes out of malice. They analyze because they need to understand. For a Virgo, understanding is synonymous with security. When they comprehend someone's pattern, they feel they know where they stand. When they identify inconsistencies, it's not to attack. It's to mentally adjust the scenario. There's also another important factor. Virgo has difficulty explaining thoughts that are not yet fully organized. They prefer to speak when they have clarity. Until then, they observe. The positive side of this is powerful. They are excellent problem solvers. They can predict failures before they happen. They make more calculated decisions. They are strategic, rational, and rarely act on destructive impulse. But there is a difficult side. This excessive analysis can generate anxiety. It can lead to overinterpreting simple situations. It can create invisible barriers between what they feel and what they express. Many times, the Virgo has already resolved something internally that was never communicated and expects the other person to have understood without explanation. And that's where the mystery lives. Virgo is not indecipherable because they are hiding something. They are indecipherable because they think in layers. While you are seeing what was said, they are analyzing what was implied, what was avoided, and what might happen next. And if you don't ask, you may never know what was really going through their mind. They show love through actions, not words. If you expect grand declarations, long messages, and dramatic promises, you might never realize when a Virgo is loving you. Because Virgo doesn't love with spectacle. They love with presence. They love with usefulness. They love by fixing. Ruled by Mercury, Virgo feels through the mind before feeling through emotion. That means when they like someone, their first reaction isn't to say, "I love you." It's to ask, "How can I improve your life?" Virgo love is practical. They fix what's broken. They organize what's messy. They remember the detail you mentioned weeks ago. They solve problems before you even ask for help. And many times, they do all of this in silence. For someone who is used to more intense or verbal demonstrations, this can seem like coldness. It can seem like a lack of passion. It can seem like a lack of involvement. But in reality, the involvement is there, just in the form of action. When Virgo loves, they observe your needs, analyze your patterns, learn your vulnerabilities, and quietly begin to act to protect, support, and strengthen you. They show love by being useful. And here is the deeper point. For Virgo, being useful is a way of being indispensable. It's the safest way they know to remain in someone's life. There is also a silent fear behind this. Virgo is afraid of being too vulnerable. Talking about feelings requires emotional exposure. And emotional exposure means losing a bit of control. So they prefer to demonstrate rather than declare. In real life, this can create misunderstandings. The partner might think, but they never say what they feel. Meanwhile, the Virgo is thinking, "I do so much, how don't you see it?" The positive side is extraordinary. When a Virgo loves, it's consistent. It's stable. It's reliable. It's not a love that fluctuates with the mood of the day. It's a love built through daily details. The difficult side? Sometimes they forget that not everyone speaks the language of actions. Some people need to hear it. They need verbal validation. They need expressed emotion. And Virgo needs to learn that efficiency does not replace expression. But when they find someone who understands their silent language, love becomes deep, solid, and almost unshakable. Because Virgo's love is not loud. It's structured, and it may not be the flashiest in the zodiac, but it is one of the most loyal that exists. They are extremely self-critical. If there is one thing almost no one realizes about Virgo, it's that the criticism they direct at the world is small compared to the criticism they direct at themselves. Virgos carry an internal standard that is almost impossible to reach. There is an invisible, extremely high ruler measuring every action, every decision, every word spoken. And most of the time, they feel they could have done better. Ruled by Mercury, Virgo has an analytical mind that functions like an internal editor 24 hours a day. After a conversation, they mentally review what they said. After submitting work, they think about what they could have adjusted. After a small mistake, they turn it into a major reflection. While many people move on quickly, Virgo revisits it, and revisits it again and again. This explains why, to some people, they seem overly demanding, because the standard they apply to others is actually the same rigid standard they apply to themselves. But there is something deeper behind this self-criticism. Virgo does not seek perfection out of vanity. They seek it out of fear of failure. There is a silent fear of not being enough, of not having done enough, of not having foreseen something that could go wrong. In real life, this can generate constant anxiety. It can create difficulty celebrating achievements. It can make them minimize praise, because internally they are still focused on what could have been improved. Someone compliments a project. Virgo thinks about the detail that almost went wrong. Someone recognizes the effort. They remember the part that could have been more efficient. The positive side of this trait is powerful, continuous evolution. Virgos rarely remain stagnant. They learn from mistakes, adjust their course, refine their skills. They are people who grow because they are always evaluating how they can improve. But the difficult side is heavy. It's hard to relax when your mind is always finding something to fix. It's hard to feel fully satisfied when your natural focus is on the flaw rather than the success. And there is also a rarely discussed emotional impact. Self-criticism can make Virgo more sensitive to external criticism, because often, what someone else says has already been said internally, and in a much harsher way. The world may see someone strong, rational, and controlled. But inside, there is someone constantly trying to prove to themselves that they are capable. Virgo is not demanding because they want to control everything. They are demanding because they feel they need to be better all the time. And when they learn to replace self-criticism with self-compassion, they discover they don't need to be perfect to be extraordinary. They need control to feel safe. If you observe closely, you'll realize that Virgo doesn't seek control out of obsession, but out of security. For Virgo, the unpredictable is not exciting. It's uncomfortable. Ruled by Mercury, the planet of logic and anticipation, this sign feels the need to understand the scenario before surrendering to it. Planning is not just organization. It's emotional protection. When Virgo organizes their schedule, reviews a plan, or thinks through all the possible outcomes of a situation, they are trying to reduce invisible risks. They need to feel that they have foreseen enough to avoid being caught off guard. Because deep down, what destabilizes them the most is the feeling of being unprepared. In practical life, this shows up in many ways. At work, they are the ones who think about the details no one else considered. In relationships, they are the ones who analyze stability before getting deeply involved. In daily life, they create systems to prevent chaos. And when something completely escapes what was expected, the mind speeds up. Not because Virgo doesn't know how to handle change, but because change without planning activates internal insecurities. Control, for them, is a way to keep the ground steady. This can create misunderstandings. Some see it as rigidity. Others see it as excessive need for organization. Some interpret it as coldness or excessive rationality. But in reality, it's fear of vulnerability in the face of the unpredictable. Virgo trusts what can be measured, structured, and anticipated. What cannot be mentally organized creates tension. The positive side of this is enormous. They are reliable people. They plan the future responsibly. They prevent mistakes through anticipation. They can structure projects, relationships, and decisions with maturity. They are the type of person who builds something solid because they thought before acting. But there is a difficult side. When life demands emotional flexibility, excess control can turn into resistance. It can generate anxiety. It can make them try to adjust everything, including people, to fit the ideal plan. And that's where conflict arises. Because not everything can be predicted. Not everything can be optimized. And Virgo's greatest challenge is learning that true security doesn't come only from external control, but from internal trust. When Virgo understands that they can handle the unexpected, even without planning every detail, something shifts deeply. They remain organized, but they stop living in a constant state of alert. And they discover that sometimes letting go is also a form of protection. They feel much more than they show. Here is the part almost no one sees. Behind the logic, the organization, and the seemingly controlled posture, there is an emotional world far more intense than people imagine. Virgo feels, and feels deeply. But unlike signs that express emotion immediately, Virgo first processes what they are feeling. They need to understand the emotion before showing it. They need to analyze it, classify it, organize it internally. Ruled by Mercury, their relationship with feelings passes through the mind. And this creates a misleading impression. While they are trying to understand what they feel, the world interprets it as coldness. But it's not coldness. It's emotional caution. Virgo rarely shows vulnerability right away. There is a silent fear of exposing too much, trusting too much, investing emotionally in something that may not be safe. So they observe, test, evaluate the other person's consistency. Only then do they allow themselves to lower their guard. In real life, this can create confusion. Someone may think the Virgo doesn't care that much. They may believe there is a lack of intensity. They may assume the involvement isn't deep. But internally, the intensity is there. Virgo attaches to emotional details. They keep the phrases that touch them. They remember the exact day something shifted in the relationship. They mentally revisit important moments. They just rarely turn it into drama or grand public displays. The positive side of this trait is powerful. When a Virgo loves, it's solid. It's not impulsive passion. It's not volatile emotion. It's something that grows slowly, but develops deep roots. They are loyal because they don't surrender easily. And when they do, it's because they've analyzed enough to know it's worth it. The difficult side? They often suffer in silence. Because they don't easily express what they feel, they may carry hurt without externalizing it. They may store frustrations to avoid conflict. They may appear strong while being emotionally overwhelmed. And that's where Virgo's greatest paradox lives. They are seen as too rational, when in reality, they feel too much. The difference is that they don't let emotion take control. They prefer to understand it before fully living it. But when they find someone who offers emotional safety, when they realize they can be vulnerable without judgment, the depth they reveal is surprising. Because behind the analytical mind, there is a sensitive heart. And whoever manages to move past the layer of logic discovers something rare. Virgo doesn't show everything they feel. But when they feel, it's real. Do you see how each layer becomes more internal? We started with external behavior. We ended with emotional vulnerability. Virgo is not difficult because they are complicated. They are difficult because they protect what they feel. At the end of the day, Virgo doesn't want to be understood by everyone, only by those who truly pay attention. What many call coldness is actually care. What they call criticism is the intention to improve. What they call distance is self-protection. Virgo is not an open book. It's a code. And only those who have the patience to read between the lines discover the depth that exists there. And now tell me, have you managed to understand a Virgo, or are you still trying to decode one? And if you made it this far, I truly want to thank you. Honestly, because understanding Virgo requires attention. It requires depth. And the fact that you stayed until the end shows that you value content that goes beyond the superficial. If this message resonated with you, comment the number 0606 below, just so I know you received this energy all the way to the end. It will be our silent code of connection. And if you want to keep exploring the mysteries of the signs, diving even deeper into the mind and behavior of each one, it's very important that you join our channel. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Like this content so it can reach more people. And share it with someone who needs to better understand a Virgo. Your support makes all the difference. See you in the next video.